Alright, so here we are, guys, AP Human Geography 9.2, the regional distribution of the HDI, and finishing up this review video. So here we are, we just finished talking about Central Asia, and in Central Asia this includes a lot of the stands, as well as Iran, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, and many of these countries are oil rich, so that is very beneficial. However, they do have issues in Afghanistan and Pakistan in terms of war issues. Iran, there are some issues with economic sanctions from the United States, so those are hindering their economic development. Next is South Asia. South Asia is 61% in terms of regional HDI. It is second in population behind East Asia, which obviously has China, and second lowest in income per capita. And remember, this means that per person they have the lowest income of second lowest of any of the highest is Sub-Saharan Africa. They have many natural resources, but a poor ratio with populations. Those are both negatives in terms of what's hurting their HDI. They have a lot of resources, but they just have so many people in India and Pakistan and in Bangladesh, as well as their agriculture. They're very reliant on the monsoons. Monsoons are those seasonal rains. Remember, this is where a lot of rice is grown. Rice needs to be grown in water in India. So if they have a bad monsoon season, this creates great hardship on the region. This creates mass starvation issues. So in India, you have, on this subcontinent of India, you have on the peninsula, basically on the two coasts of the peninsula, you have heavy agriculture. And then up in the northern part, which is the Ganges River Basin, you have a lot of agriculture produced up there as well. And so they're heavily reliant on this monsoon seasons, the rainy seasons, and if the rain they don't come and they have a drought, this leads to mass starvation. They were the main beneficiaries of the Green Revolution. This is why a lot of the genetically modified seeds, especially the rice is what it started with, and then to wheat, and then into other products like corn. This is why it was developed, was because of it. In India, they were facing mass famine and so much population growth. They were afraid of having such mass starvation. So they created in the 1950s, 1960s, they had the Green Revolution, which also coincides as the third agriculture revolution. This is why we have the genetically modified organisms and the widespread usages of chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides, and chemical herbicides. So those have been beneficial for them. So now they have steadier food supply. And India has now the fourth largest economy with many manufacturing and service jobs, a lot of high-skilled, cheap labor. But again, they have the fourth largest economy, just like China has, I think, the second, or they may now be the first, but they have the second largest economy. But they have over 1 billion people each. They have 3 times the amount of people we do. So if they're going to match our living conditions here and our standard of living, for all of their people, they would need to have an economy 3 times the size of ours. So very, very difficult. Finally, Sub-Saharan Africa, which is our lowest, our continent that has the lowest levels of development. It's not surprising that this is also the continent that has the most civil conflicts going on, most political instability. Also, you have your highest natural increase rates here. You have the greatest number of countries that are stage 2 LDCs in Sub-Saharan Africa. So they are at 51% overall. They are a major source of mineral resources. A lot of gold, silver, diamond, oil is in Sub-Saharan Africa. So that helps them with their HDI. However, they have a history of colonialism and the after effects. So where their people, especially in places like South Africa, where their people were really subjugated by the white Europeans, and they were not allowed to learn skills. They were not allowed to be educated. So this is going to take a long time for the legacy of that, for them to rise above that. That has really been a negative effect on their HDI. Next, they have the highest percentage of people in poverty in the entire world in sub-Saharan Africa. Again, they have the largest number of LDCs. You have the most political instability. So, of course, you're going to have the highest percentage of people in the poverty in the world. They have poor leadership, health care, and education systems. Remember, we talked about that in order to have better health care and education, you need money, and they don't have money. And they have a lot of political corruption. And the money they do get, a lot of their leaders take that money and live opulent and luxurious lifestyles, and then don't give it to their people. They have their agricultural land. They have a lot of subsistence agriculture. So in sub-Saharan Africa, a lot of shifting cultivation, slash and burn farming happening in sub-Saharan Africa. So a lot of the agricultural land is overworked and it's reduced the output. It's actually resulted in some desertification. So we know the Sahara Desert, that's in northern Africa. Well, there's a new desert that is growing under the Sahara. It's called the Sahel, S-A-H-E-L. And that's continuing to grow as they have more climate change, drought issues, but also overuse, overgrazing, erosion, soil erosion. So that desert is growing. So that's really negatively affecting them. And their economy has decreased overall for the last 30 years. So while most economies have improved over the last 30 years, theirs has decreased. So that's been a significant negative impact. All right, guys, that concludes our 9-2 review.